Now on to our top story today. The Prime Minister is in a political dogfight as he tries to keep control of the Conservative Party over the Rwanda plan. It comes as the total cost of the asylum policy so far has been unveiled as £240 million, despite it not even coming into action yet.
Well, the eye-watering sum has emerged at the end of a tough week for Rishi Sunak after his former Home Secretary Suella Braverman and now ex-Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick warned the government's plans to tackle illegal immigration do not go far enough. Well, joining us now is former Downing Street Director of Communications, Jonathan Haslam. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. I think it's fair to say that it's not been a great week for the Prime Minister. How do you think he'll be reflecting about the last few days?
Oh, good morning, Daisy. Good morning, David. He'll be spitting blood, and I think we saw indications of that yesterday at a press conference in Downing Street, which was one of those occasions when he felt he really had to get out there and try to assert himself in front of the public. That was aimed at us, less than his party, because he'd already spoken to them and tried to talk them round. The problem he's got is that the Conservative Party at the moment is ungovernable. There's that great phrase, it's a broad church. Well, this church is going in different religious directions. You've got a left wing and centre, which is moderate and sensible and upholds conservative values. And then you've got a very, very vocal right wing, and they want, as they always do, first of all, to bite your hand off, and then they'll move up to the elbow and then the shoulder. They're never satisfied until they get everything that they want. And this instance, it's incompatible with the legislation that's coming forward. And certainly the indications, I mean, reading the front page of the Times this morning, that actually that legislation is deeply, deeply flawed. If it gets through the House of Commons, then it's bound to have a lot of time taken up in the House of Lords, where legal experts will really get at it, including Lord Garnier, who was very clear yesterday about his reservations about this piece of legislation. And the problem that I'm afraid that Rishi Sunak's got is that he made a sort of technocrat's pledge, because I see him more as a technocrat than a politician. Early on, he had his 5 pledges, of which getting to grips with the boats was one of them. He should have left it to the Home Secretary. That's what Home Secretaries are there for. They're lightning rods. They're disposable. So, yes, the Conservatives has a real problem at the moment as a party. I do suspect, however, there'll be a lot of backing down, because the idea, as you mentioned earlier on, that you have so many prime ministers in a time of one parliament is just ludicrous. And therefore, if he was to be defeated, I think we'd be looking at a very early general election.
I mean, I have to agree with you. I actually saw the real Rishi Sunak yesterday. I thought he showed that he was serious. He was very angry. And you're absolutely right about these 4 warring factions in the Conservative Party that are all basically calling for different things. I've never seen the Conservative Party so disunited. When you look at the bill that's coming before them on Tuesday, essentially, it's very short, this bill, 12 pages long. It essentially says Rwanda is a safe country and uses this clause notwithstanding UK and international law. It disapplies the Human Rights Act, but also, crucially for me, it says, well, we can ignore the pyjama injunctions from Brussels, but we don't leave the ECHR. That is not enough for Jenrick. It's not enough for lots of Conservative politicians.
No, as you say, quite rightly, it's not enough for some Conservative politicians. And if we look to the left and centre, the more sensible wing, then you are looking at people who are saying, hang on, we are a major economy, we're a liberal Western democracy, and we're talking about potentially putting ourselves into the same group of countries as Russia and Belarus, which have nothing to do with the European Convention on Human Rights. And where does that stand? Particularly when we've got completely out of proportion the issue of immigration here. So stop the boats. 40,000 people. Of course, we all want to stop the boats because it's bad for people. It's the most dangerous thing that they can do. But the bigger problem we've got is the one that they almost tried to solve. Earlier on, James cleverly this week was talking about how we deal with that very large number of legitimate immigration that we've got. And again, what you're seeing is government that really isn't thinking beyond the next step. Because if you look at those 700,000 people, skewed by having people from Ukraine, that's a humanitarian gesture we should be proud of, and also from people from Hong Kong, and the people who come into our social services. So if we cut back on that immigration, we need to be expecting unintended consequences.
Jonathan, can I
There are no easy choices in government, but they're getting it wrong across the board. They're not looking at it holistically.
Can I pick you up on that phrase, unintended consequences? Because, of course, one of the unintended consequences of the Conservative Party putting all its eggs in the Rwanda basket could be, as you intimated, some sort of split within the party, because it's a policy that they are saying is the be-all and end-all, and yet there's a 100 MPs or so who are very pessimistic about it, who are coming from the left of the party, and there's a significant number who are coming at it from the right, who are also unhappy. Could this policy be the straw that breaks the camel's back as far as keeping the Conservative Party united?
Well, the Conservative, you're absolutely right in many cases there, Daisy. But let's be frank about it. The Conservative Party is not united. It can't be united at the moment. The factions, which happen from time to time, come to the fore. And this is a classic example of them. So what we're talking about here is the potential for them to commit harry-carry. And we're looking at Christmas. Now, do turkeys vote for Christmas? No. So will the Conservative Party, when they look, even on the right wing, which is looking at its so-called star chamber of legal experts, will they push it to the brink and then expect the British public to say, you know, we can carry on governing this country? I don't think it's tenable. I think they will back down. I don't think the tensions will go away, and I don't think we'll be seeing anybody going to Rwanda before we get the next general election, even assuming it goes to November. And that would be a fairly reasonable supposition. There are two schools of thought, very briefly. First of all, about election timing. There's the one which I do slightly incline to, which is, you know, go at May because you're going to get a terrible kicking in the local elections. And the other one is push it as long as you possibly can because, hey, something might turn up.
I mean, that's a heck of a way to govern, isn't
Wishful
it?
thinking.
Yeah, something just might turn up. Very quickly, yes, no answer. Is Rishi Sunak safe?
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed, Jonathan Haslam. Thank you very much.